Well, if we kind of have to fast forward now
Okay,
to,
fast forward.
to the record.
Yes.
So when Onno and Paul called you
Yes.
and then they asked you to be part of this project, what was
Yes.
your first reaction?
At first, I said to myself, no. I said no, because they really did catch me at a time where I was like, I don't think I'm a gospel singer. I don't think I can do gospel. At some point, it felt like a struggle, like I was fighting something, or I wasn't doing the justice that I felt I should have been doing for gospel music, and I quit. I was like, I quit.
Well, in what way? In what way did you feel you weren't doing it justice then?
It was just so hard on various levels. One, when I would start to sing a particular song, I was fighting for the words, you know, when it used to come natural. When I would start to write, I couldn't write any lyrics. It didn't come.
Right.
When I organized concerts, it was very difficult. Not because people didn't want to come, but I don't know, sometimes venues or organizations think, oh, this is gospel music. Oh, we don't really have to pay you, or we don't have to pay you that much.
Right.
You know, and they forget that it's a business. You know, I love the Lord, but I have to pay my rent too.
Right.
You know, that kind of thing. And then some of the people I was working with, I felt like I was taking them on a journey that they didn't want to go on. And I was the type, or I'm still the type, I don't feel that in some respects gospel music is all about entertainment. You know, there is something behind it, and I always wanted to make sure that I respect that and keep that. And it was a struggle, so I said I quit. And I said, well, maybe it's me who said, yeah, you need to be a gospel artist. Maybe it's not my calling, so I just quit. But then they asked me, and they told me the way they wanted to do it. How could I have not said yes?
Well, was it a long thing?
No, it was so quick. I found my quick and easy. No, it was really
What kind of pushed you over the edge? Was it listening to what they had to say, or was something that they played?
it was something they said. It was the way that they wanted to pay homage, you know, to the music itself, to the genre. And I could see the twinkle in their eye when they were talking about it. And I was like, okay, maybe this is something I should be a part of, because I'm not, how do you say it? It wasn't to the point where I needed to save a soul. I didn't need to make anybody come outside of themselves. All I have to do is sit there and sing, and you receive it by any means necessary for you. And that's less pressure, you know. And I can do that. I can do that. And I'm glad I did.
And for you, well, I just spoke to the guys, and you kind of lived through this gospel thing in the States, and for them it's a bit more foreign.
Yeah.
So, did you discover anything about gospel that was new to you doing this project?
I did. I'm the type of music within the gospel genre that I like. I like the bigness. I love the the drums that are just all over the place, and the mass choirs, and you scream, you scream. I love it. And this was more intimate. This was more private, and I had to find a different placement for it. I had to tell myself a story. I had to not be so outward, but more inward. And I've never really approached gospel that way, because I've always been on big platforms.
Right.
Of course, I go out there with my own personal story or conviction, and I relay it, but it always has to be big, you know. And this was, no, I want you to be quiet. I want you to be still. So I had to actually, in order for me to get that, I had to sit down and bend forward and sing. I have never, ever in my life done that.
Right.
You know? And it was like, okay, how do you feel at the moment? I felt sometimes like a child. I felt sometimes I wanted to burst out, but there was something that said, no, calm down, you know. It is about you and what you're singing. So I had more of a personal relationship to the music. Yeah.
Did it bring you back to those moments growing up?
It did, because the songs are so retro, even though we wrapped it in a new package.
Right.
And of course, their original pieces, but the sound of it, and just to hear, I'm tapping now, but just to hear just a basic beat, you know, and to hum it to yourself. There was one song that I didn't have any more lyrics. I didn't need any more lyrics, so I just moaned, you know, and that was, I remember the mothers of the church. Some of them couldn't sing at all, but all they did was moan, and you would cry, you know, so it did take me back.
And well, their experience, obviously, as I just said, was quite different from yours. So, did you kind of have to take their hand and kind of show them what it, because they have their ideas about what it was, and they were discovering things about it. So, were you able to show them kind of an insight to it that
Yes, but I think they showed me more.
Okay.
Believe it or not. There was only one song that I actually fought to be a little bit of myself, because it was no way that the song is called Can't No Grave Hold My Body Down. There's no way you can approach that song without a strong conviction.
Right.
You know, you cannot be silently loud, not with that song. So I actually let myself out just a little bit, because I knew that they wanted me to be a little bit more contained. So I tried to give them that, but it was hard. So I let go once or twice. And of course, Paul was like, no. He's like, I don't like that. And I was like, no, but you don't understand. Please let me have this one. And he went in the booth and he listened, and then he came out and goes, okay, I get it.
Right.
You know, so that was my way of saying, no, understand this one. They showed me by what I said before. Less is more. Less is more. And so this time around, I was the student. Yeah.
And well, it is called Volume 1.
Yes.
And I just spoke to them, so they have ideas for Volume 2 and 3.
Yes, they do.
But for you, I believe it's just this one.
I believe it's just this one. I'm hoping that it will, you know, be as successful as I see it in my head, and they will allow me to do a 2, or maybe come back and do a 6, 7.
Right.
You know, I hope it's not the end. But if it is, I'm happy to have been the gateway.
Right.
You know?
Because, well, you just mentioned it, but this was a quite different way of singing, more intimate than you're used to, the more bombastic sound. So I'm not going to ask you which you prefer, but was it fun to do this thing kind of that you didn't do a lot before?
It was awesome. It was awesome. I'll tell you why. Before I came to Holland, I did this tour in Germany for like 2 years, and it was a really big group. I mean, I think they're still existing, called the Golden Gospel Singers. And I was known as the bullet.
Right.
Just straight out the gate, you know. All my songs were just rough and tough. And I said, can I have a nice, soft song? No. Everybody wants me, even here sometimes, when I first came, it was like, oh my God, you can belt. And everything was, Right. So to finally hear someone say, no, I like your soft side. Oh my God, I can melt, I could cry. I think it's beautiful that finally somebody recognizes that I do have a softer side. So it was wonderful. It was wonderful to sit down in the first session and have 8 songs already.
Right.
Who does that? It's wonderful to have one rehearsal and then the next day you record 10 songs straight. Wow, who does that? You know, it was wonderful.
Right, because it was important to capture that kind of groove that they talked about this, to capture that moment that was there, and not to overthink it.
No, and I love it. I would like to do a lot of things like that. You know, I think sometimes we do overprocess, overthink, overproduce a product to the point where you have killed it. You killed your darling, right. You know. But this one, we stroked the darling. And when I listened to the LP, I was nervous at first because I know that there are some people who know me from the big stuff, you know. And I was like, oh, they're not going to like it. They're not going to understand it. They're going to think I'm whack. They're going to think I sold out. I had all these things in my head. And when I finally put the record on myself, I exhaled and I fell in love. I don't normally like my voice sometimes, but I fell in love. I was like, wow, this is beautiful. This is nice. And someone can actually have a moment. Somebody can listen to this and have a moment.
Right.
Wow, that's fabulous. So, yeah, I like this right now. This is my favorite way.
Okay. Well, it's quite interesting what you just said. Do you, so you don't like listening to yourself?
No, not all the time.
Okay.
I like the feeling. I love the feeling when I'm singing. I love catching somebody's eye when they were doing something else, and then, you know, she's singing to me.
Right.
You know, I love that. I love talking to the audience before I even go on stage. I love that whole process. But sometimes hearing myself, I'm like, ooh, that was wrong. Ooh, you didn't hit that note.
Okay.
You don't have perfect pitch. You know, I'm my own worst critic, you know.
Right,
but this
right.
time, with everything, because they left everything, I hear myself chewing. I hear myself breathing. I think I made a mistake somewhere. You know, I loved it. It was pure. For the first time, I sound pure. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.